What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're recapping the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road defeating the Detroit Lions 20-15. And this wasn't the most exciting game to watch, but it was definitely exciting for one player in particular to me, and that was the rookie wide receiver out of USC, JuJu Smith-Schuster, and boy did he have a breakout game. I really liked him coming out of college, but I never thought he would be the receiver that he is now. I thought he would be, your typical, fourth wide receiver that you can depend on for some third down conversion that comes in every once in a while. I didn't think he was going to be, anything really special, and definitely JuJu Smith-Schuster is very special, and you can see why he's taking the snaps away from Martavis Bryant, and that's why Martavis Bryant wants to leave, because he understands that JuJu Smith is something special, and he's going to be he's going to match in a great pair with Antonio Brown in the future. So we'll go over JuJu Smith-Schuster when we get onto the stats, but let's start off with the game recap right now. We're going to do some notes, then do some stats, then the awards. So let's start off with the first play of the game. We have Ben Roethlisberger going deep for JuJu Smith-Schuster, and that just started what was JuJu Smith's breakout game. Immediately he goes down the field for JuJu Smith-Schuster, and then on that same drive, the first drive of the game, Eli Rogers on a beautiful corner route, and nobody was able to cover. Nobody covered him because there was another wide receiver. I don't know who it was, but it was another wide receiver running. I believe it was an out route, and the corner bit on the out, and nobody was there for the corner route. So Eli Rogers was wide open, and the Steelers struggle with getting the ball in the end zone, especially from short distances. So Eli Rogers missed that ball and completely dropped it. I mean, they could have had a lot more points in this game. Darius Hayward-Bay also dropped a touchdown as well, so they could have gone up 2 more touchdowns other than this. But Eli Rogers' first drive of the game, he drops a easy touchdown, and that was on a 3rd down. So the Steelers are forced to kick a field goal, go up 3-0, leaving points on the board. And then you go to Matt Stafford. And I believe this was his first opening kickoff too, opening drive too. Their first drive. Matt Stafford instantly moves down the field, copying what JuJu Smith just did. Deep ball for Marvin Jones. They get closer. I believe they're in the red zone or close to it. And then Prater winds up kicking a field goal, and Prater put up all the points in this game, scoring a grand total of 5 field goals in this game. So good job by Matt Prater. And, again, just barely in Lion territory, Ben Roethlisberger throws an interception, overthrown for Antonio Brown, intercepted by Glover Quinn in the mid-first quarter, and immediately I thought, oh no, this is going to be one of those games where it's going to be because of Ben Roethlisberger and his gunslinging mentality. He's going to wind up throwing a couple picks in this game, and they're not going to move down the field, and this may be the Lions' game. But no, after a few punts, the Lions don't do anything with that interception, and then a few punts go back and forth between the two, and then Marvin Jones makes another big catch, this time in the early second quarter, and that leads to a Matt Prater field goal. The Lions now lead 6-3, and then we have a 40-yard deep ball for Antonio Brown down the field, and the first touchdown is scored in this game with Le'Veon Bell and his very patient running style. It's just amazing to see how patient he is to see. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I don't think any running back runs like him, and I don't think anybody has seen a running back like him. And Le'Veon Bell patiently, hesitantly, or if that's a word or whatever, finds the end zone and punches it in, and the Steelers then lead 10-6. And then Matt Prater again adds another field goal, this one being a 51-yard field goal. And then it just seems like the same thing for Detroit. They add another field goal. They still are losing the game, but they lessen the lead a little bit between them and the Steelers, 10-9. And then on I believe this is the next drive, or maybe a couple punts later, a couple drives later, the Steelers hand the ball Ben Roethlisberger hands the ball off to Le'Veon Bell, and Le'Veon Bell fumbles the ball, and the Lions recover. And guess what? The Lions don't do anything with that. So, and Matt Prater then kicks, after a couple other drives, Matt Prater then kicks a field goal to go up in halftime, 12-10, leading the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, you know, this isn't much of an offensive game. If you guys love offense, this wasn't the game for you. There was a total of 2 touchdowns scored in this game, both coming from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and one was in one half, one was in the other. So, really wasn't a very exciting game for any offensive guys out there. But if you love defense, I guess this was a game for you. Both quarterbacks still threw for over 300 yards. Ben Roethlisberger threw for over 300. I believe it was 313. And Matt Stafford threw for 423. So, I mean, a lot of offense was played, but just not any scoring. So I guess you can say the defense was a big part of that. But, you know, still gaining a lot of chunks before the red zone. Both teams were able to get in each other's territories fairly easily. The problem was getting into the end zone. Pittsburgh has struggled with scoring in the red zone this whole season, and it showed that today. And then the Lions, you know, they're having their offensive problems, but they're able to move down the field with their red zone problems just because they can't run the ball, so they're pretty predictable. You know, it's 2nd and goal, and, you know, when it's 1st and goal, they try running the ball, then they immediately give up on that, and they try passing it, and, you know, that's why the Steelers do such a good job doing that, you know, on those goal line stands, is because the Lions is just so predictable. Once, you know, they run the ball once in the red zone, well, in between the 10-yard line, they run the ball once, and they immediately give up. Once they lose a yard or probably gain a yard, just a yard, they give up on it, and they start passing it from there, so becoming very predictable. Quick stat, Matt Stafford threw for 195 yards passing in the first half, and the Steelers are only allowing 147 per game, so we're talking about you know, almost 50 yards over that, and that was just the first half. So you knew Matt Stafford was going to have a good day. The problem was, can he get the ball in the end zone? The problem was no in this game. And one thing I really liked here, Antonio Brown thought, this was in the 3rd quarter, Antonio Brown thought he had a touchdown in this game, but it was an offensive push-off on Darius Slay. He pushed off of Darius Slay, caught the ball, and he was celebrating, doing his dance or whatever, and Darius Slay, you know, pats him on the back and says, you see that flag? That's on you right there. And Antonio Brown, his smile just wiped away from his face, and he was just looking at, well, what did I do? I mean, it was obvious he pushed off. I don't know why he wouldn't think he pushed off, but it was funny to see it happening in real time. That just shows, you know, that these guys are humans, these guys are players, and they're competing and having fun and stuff like that. It was just funny to see Darius Slay just rub it in his face that he actually didn't score a touchdown. It was a penalty on him. And then right after that, that takes away a touchdown, and that's very key there, because right after that, it was 3rd down, and Quandre Diggs just takes the legs away from Antonio Brown. I mean, it was on a shallow crossing route or a drive route, whatever you guys want to call it. Shallow crossing route, and Quandre Diggs sees him coming, and Antonio Brown tries hurdling him. As you guys know, Antonio Brown loves to hurdle people, but always fails. Hence that Spencer Lanning punt return a long time ago. But Antonio Brown tries to hurdle people, as small as he is, 5'10" or something like that. And he had the legs taken away from him, from Quandre Diggs. Antonio Brown winds up doing a whole freaking backflip. It was crazy to see. I was hoping he wasn't hurt, because that would have been pretty bad, him trying to hurdle Quandre Diggs. But yeah, he does a whole backflip, and it winds up being 4th down there, and Chris Boswell winds up kicking a field goal, and the Steelers regain the lead 13-12. And the Steelers on a goal line stand, as Stafford, they go for it because they start getting frustrated. They're down 13-12 at this point, and I don't understand. I would say just kick the field goal. But you guys know how I am. I'm very old school. I just love taking the points. Only in crunch time type moments do I really say, let's go for it. This was not the time. There was a lot of time still left in this game, and you're only down by 1 point. Kick the field goal, go up by 2 points, and trust your defense. That they've been doing fine in this game. Trust your defense to possibly get a turnover, possibly force a punt, and you go back down and maybe even kick another field goal, go up even more points. That's how you keep the momentum going. When you go for fourth downs multiple times and you don't make it, you start to lower the morale of all these players, and they start not to be as confident as they are. And I'll tell you right now, confidence really accelerates adrenaline. You know, confidence really accelerates adrenaline. If you have confidence in this game, you start doing things you never imagine you can do because of your adrenaline. So it kind of correlates. Confidence and adrenaline, it really correlates. Once you have confidence, you start feeling like you can do stuff that you've never done before, and you've done it. And, you know, it's happened to a lot of players. And, you know, to keep that confidence, to keep that momentum going, you just kick the points. I mean, sure, if you get the fourth down, it's a great call. If you get the fourth down conversion and you score a touchdown, it's a great call. But if you don't get it, you're going to, you know, lessen the morale of all your teammates, and they're gonna feel like they already lost the game. Once you lose confidence, you already lost the game. So I felt like a little bit of this happened in this game, minus you know, Marvin Jones. He was always balling out in this game, but then you see Golden Tate that was careless with the football as he caught the ball. He fumbled the ball, and he was just distraught after that, and that just another example of just, you know, morale just going down for this team. So yeah, Matt Stafford tries going for it on fourth down. He doesn't see anything open. He tries running it himself, and he winds up being taken down. I believe it was Ryan Shazier to take him down. I don't know if that's correct. But it was somebody, you know, on that linebacking core, I believe, because I think they were blitzing. But anyway, right after that, you know, the Pittsburgh Steelers start off, I believe it's like their 2 or 1 yard line. They're, you know, backed up in their own end zone. Ben Roethlisberger gives it to Le'Veon Bell once or twice, and then JuJu Smith-Schuster. I mean, what a route that was! That was an inside breaking outside route. Inside breaking outside seam route where he just, you know, he faked the inside and planted his foot, went outside, totally beat out Quandre Diggs, you know, forced Quandre Diggs to stop and, you know, flip his hips again. And by the time he did that, JuJu Smith-Schuster was already on the other side of him. And those routes are just so, you know, effective when it comes to cornerbacks that are in front of you. So, you know, Quandre Diggs was playing, you know, was shading up on top of JuJu Smith-Schuster, and, you know, was running in front of him, but was looking back at the same time. And JuJu Smith-Schuster made an inside route, went outside, and then hit the seam, flipped Quandre Diggs' hips, and he couldn't catch up from there. And what a pass by Ben Roethlisberger. Just a beautiful touch pass over Quandre Diggs and Darius Slay and whoever else was next to JuJu Smith-Schuster. A great job of keeping it away from the defenders. Just a dime to JuJu Smith-Schuster, and Schuster's breaking speed helped him get a 97-yard touchdown, and that's 2 yards away from the record, because that's the only that's the longest you can get in a football game. So he was 2 yards away from getting a 99-yard touchdown. So what a play by him. I mean, he had more yards than a lot of receivers did this week in just one play. So great job by JuJu Smith-Schuster there, who finished with a crazy stat, crazy box score in this game. So, and then right after that, lo and behold, guess what? The Lions then kick another field goal. They now are losing 20-15. It's a 5-point game. Think about if they kick that other field goal, it would be 20-18. Then all they would have needed to worry about was going down the field and potentially just kick a field goal. You know, you don't have to force a big play down the field. And that is sometimes just the outcome of games. That is the difference in games. You know, a lot of teams, if they go for it and they don't make it a lot of the time, they don't make it. Then they're far behind. In this case, they're 5 points behind. They have to get a touchdown, not to kick a field goal. So when you're going down the field, what's the only thing on your mind when you're down with 2 minutes left to go in the game? The only thing on your mind is you need a touchdown. So you start calling these vertical plays, trying to rush the offense and trying to get a touchdown, when instead, if you kick your points in this game, when it's not in crunch time, when it's not in win now mode, instead of being aggressive, just kick your points. And when it comes to those 4-minute offense drills and 2-minute offense drills, all you need to do, and hopefully you saved your timeouts, all you need to do, that's plenty enough time to go ahead and go for a field goal to potentially win the game. So, that just is the difference in games. You go down the field, you don't need to worry about getting a touchdown. If you do, that's great, even more points to you. But, you have 3 timeouts, you got, probably 4 minutes left on the clock, you go down the field, and, when you're in field goal range, you start getting, a little conservative, you start running the ball a little bit more, make sure that you don't turn over the ball or lose any yardage, and then, maybe you kick another field goal, or maybe you even score a touchdown, and that's how you win games. So, the Lions had a chance to win this game, and they couldn't capitalize on it. I'm not going to blame them for getting aggressive, for trying to get the 4th down, because the 4th down conversion for a touchdown, because they were inside the 5, they were inside the 10-yard line, so it's completely understandable. But if I was a coach, I just wouldn't do it unless we're in crunch time. I don't care what the fans say, I don't care what anybody else says. That's how I would run my team. So yeah, then we go down the field, and the Lions are knocking on the Steelers' door again in the red zone once again, and Golden Tate catches the ball, and without anybody hitting him as he comes down with it, I don't know what happened. I mean, I guess he was holding the ball a little too tight that it just slipped out. But that ball comes right out, and it's later on recovered, like within seconds. It happened so quickly. I thought it was an incomplete pass. I'm like, why is everybody saying that Joe Hayden has the ball, or whoever it was? I think it was Mike Mitchell or something like that. Why is everybody saying that the Steelers recovered the ball? It looked like an incomplete pass to me, but it wasn't. He came down with that ball. He made a football move, made like 3 steps upfield, and he just lost the ball without anybody touching him. So that was pretty weird. But again, that could have been a morale type thing. But at the same time, he probably just was holding the football too tightly. Matt Stafford again tries to go for it on 4th down, does not convert, and the Steelers, to end the game, they hold out the Detroit Lions for 3 drives inside the red zone, inside the 10-yard line to be exact. 3 drives the Detroit Lions had inside the 10-yard line, and they only allowed 6 points. The Steelers defense only allowed 6 points out of that, and I think that's outstanding defense. What a goal line stand for the Detroit Lions. Actually, I think it's 3 points, because I think one of them was a 19-yard field goal, but the other 2 were 4th down. So it was 3 points allowed in between the 10-yard line. I think 6 allowed in the red zone. So what a defensive holdout for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who struggled in the air, and they always do. No matter what you do. I mean, Joe Hayden's all right, but he's past his prime. Then you got William Gay, Mike Mitchell, and all the Artie Burns. They're not that good to say they're a top secondary units in the NFL, so they're always going to have these games, and they've had that for a couple years now. They always needed defensive back help, and they try to get that with Joe Hayden, they try to get that with Artie Burns, but Matt Stafford is still here throwing for 400 yards. You got TJ Jones, who's a no-name receiver, almost having 100 yards on you. So that's the type of defense that the Steelers run. But when it comes to the red zone, it's that defensive line, it's the linebacking core to pick up the slack, hurry up the quarterbacks, pressure them, and they wound up not being able to score. So good job by the Pittsburgh Steelers with that. Let's move on with the box score right now, the stats. Let's start off with Ben Roethlisberger. He's 17 of 31, 317 yards. I thought it was 313 yards, but 317 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and was not sacked in this game. Very surprising, because Anthony Zetto is not a bad defensive end. A lot of people don't know who he is, but he's not a bad defensive end. He's mostly a run-stuffing defensive end, but I've seen him do some work in the pass rush game too. Ezekiel Ansah couldn't get anything going, so that's pretty crazy to see. And then Matt Stafford, 27 of 45, 423 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and that's why you lost the game, Matt, because you couldn't get in the end zone. He didn't turn the ball over, but he couldn't get in the end zone. So, and he was sacked twice for 12 yards. Moving on to the run game, these two teams didn't have the best day running the ball. Le'Veon Bell did all right in some plays. With some plays, he was tackled for a loss or tackled for no gain or whatever the case. So the Detroit defense actually did a good job in stopping Le'Veon Bell for the most part. They held him for a whole 25 carries, 76 yards. That's only a three yards per carry flat, so just 3 yards per carry. He had a touchdown. His longest run was 8 yards, so he really didn't do anything, but he was able to run the clock down and keep the defense honest. Unpredictable plays, whether they're going to run the ball or pass the ball. Le'Veon Bell was effective in that, because you always got to be scared of Le'Veon Bell. He could always break one out on you. So that was their intention there. And then James Conner ran the ball once for 1 yard. That was it. I felt like they could have used him a little bit more. I don't think he's that bad of a running back that they say, oh, we only need Le'Veon Bell because of how close this game is. I thought if you gave James Conner a couple carries, he could have gotten some yards, give Le'Veon a break, and have a little bit more unpredictability for your offense. But that's just me. Amir Abdullah, very disappointing as always. This whole run game for the Detroit Lions is very disappointing. I feel bad for Matt Stafford. He's never had, he's only had a 100-yard rush game from a running back in 7 games out of the 100-something he's played in. So he really doesn't know what it's like to have a good running back on their team, and that's definitely something they have to target in this coming draft. Don't know why they didn't target a running. They didn't draft now one running back in this draft last year, even though there was a ton of them to go around, and they didn't pull the trigger on any of them. They were pretty confident in Amir Abdullah and Theo Riddick, but to me, they're just scat backs in my opinion. They're never going to be 3-down backs. So you need a 3-down back like Reggie Bush, who was the last successful running back that was with the Detroit Lions. So you need a 3-down running back. That's definitely something you need to target in the draft coming up or free agency, because if they get a run game, think about what Matt Stafford can do. He's already throwing for 400 yards. Think about if he gets a good play action going. So, it is what it is. Theo Riddick, Amir Abdullah, 11 carries, 27 yards, 2.5 yards per carry. Theo Riddick, 4 carries for 21 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. Dwyane Washington, this guy, the line did not want to. He was trying really hard, and that's why I'm going to give him an award, in this game. I'm giving him an award, but just stick around later to see that. But Dwyane Washington, 6 carries, 12 yards. They were using him in the red zone. He was their power back in the red zone. But it just seemed like the line didn't want to block for him. As soon as this guy got a carry, he was tackled, and not only was he tackled, he was just manhandled. He was just slaughtered. So feel bad for Dwyane Washington there, but especially in the red zone. 2 guys were already on him, and when he just got the ball. So let's go with the Pittsburgh receiving game. JuJu Smith-Schuster had 7 catches out of 10 targets, so not a bad ratio there. 193 yards. That is a 27.6 yards per reception. That's insane, man. He had a phenomenal game, JuJu Smith-Schuster. And he also had 1 touchdown, that 97-yard touchdown. Antonio Brown. And by the way, it would have been pretty disappointing if he didn't score on that play, because it felt like he was running forever for Quandre Diggs or Darius Slay to go get him. That would have been pretty disappointing to see. But Antonio Brown took the back seat in this game. Only 5 catches, 70 yards. Not a bad day, but it's not a good day for Antonio Brown's standards. He had 5 catches on 10 targets. Jesse James didn't have a bad game. He only had 2 receptions, 42 yards, but both his receptions went for pretty long plays. One of them went for a whole 32 yards, and he's not a fast player, so he was able to get the blocks that he needed to move down the field. And then nobody else is of importance. So moving on to Detroit, the Detroit receiving game. We have Marvin Jones, 6 receptions, 128 yards. and no touchdowns. You already know, no touchdowns. 6 catches out of 11 targets. TJ Jones, 4 catches out of 8 targets, 88 yards. Golden Tate, 7 catches out of 8 targets, so very good ratio there, and 86 yards. So he did a pretty good day too. And Matt Stafford, by the way, had a very good day in distributing the ball evenly. You look at Marvin Jones, 128. He was the main guy there. TJ Jones, 88. Golden Tate, 86. Eric Ebron, 58. Theo Riddick, 24. So did a good job in distributing the ball. It wasn't just one guy getting all the receptions and all the yards. So then we move down to the defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Artie Burns leads the way with 9 tackles, 8 of them solo, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 pass defense. Then the second leading tackler, Vince Williams, 8 tackles, 4 of them solo. Ryan Shazier, 7 tackles, 6 of them solo, and a pass defense. That came at the end of the game. And then we move on to the Detroit Lions. Tavon Wilson, the cornerback, he leads the team in tackles, 11 tackles, 7 of them solo. Nevin Lawson, I forgot which one's the cornerback, the corner, Wilson or Lawson, it's one of them. Yeah, he leads the team in tackles. Then Lawson comes in second, 5 tackles, 5 of them solo. We go to the sacks for Pittsburgh. The only team that had any sacks, Tyson Alawalu and Cameron Hayward were able to get the sacks, and that's pretty much it there. Glover Quinn had an interception. Good job by him. That was a great interception, great diving catch for Glover Quinn. As we move on. Alright, so let's move on to the awards. Our offensive MVP for the winning team, as you know, that goes to the winning team. Our offensive MVP goes to JuJu Smith-Schuster, rookie wide receiver out of USC. This guy was drafted, I believe, in the 3rd round, 2nd or 3rd round, and what a pick that he's become, and what a great pick JuJu Smith was. You know, for Pittsburgh to already have a #1 receiver, for them to take JuJu Smith-Schuster, you know, even with Martavis Bryant there and Eli Rogers, they were very confident in Schuster, and I wanted it to be a great pick. So he is the offensive game MVP. I'm going to give the defensive game MVP to Ryan Shazier. He was a big part of the goal line stands for the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Detroit Lions. Very big part of that, and he was also there to knock away the last pass of the game. And that could have been a touchdown, but he was able to knock it away, almost intercepted. So I'm going to give that to Ryan Shazier. And then the At Least You Tried awards, I'm going to give that to Marvin Jones. He had some great catches in this game. He tried his best, almost had a touchdown in this game, but he wasn't able to come up with it. So I'm going to give that to Marvin Jones. 6 receptions, 128 yards, the At Least You Tried award. And the Terrance Mitchell award, as you guys know, it goes to the player that's just having a bad day. I'm going to give that to Dwyane Washington, who had 6 carries for 12 yards. Sure, he's not a big name type of guy. He's not expected to have a good day, so how can he have a bad day? But it just seemed like the offensive line did not want to block for him in the red zone. There was a lot of opportunities where he could have punched it in for a touchdown, but it just seemed like this guy was hit, and he was hit hard almost every time he touched the ball. I mean, it just looked like nobody wanted to see him winning. So that's my Terrance Mitchell award. That goes to Dwyane Washington, running back of the Detroit Lions. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I hope to make a recap video. I got some notes down already. A recap video for all the Sunday games that happened today. Tomorrow, though, I don't have time to do it now, but I'll do it tomorrow. And make sure you guys follow my gaming channel. A video will be up for that tomorrow. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.